My name's Ryan, 29, a marketing professional, living solo. Until a few months back, I was still twisting myself into knots to be the dutiful son, the one who always shows up, picks up the tab, forgives every slight, the reliable letdown, the silent bank account. I thought that might earn me a real place in the family. Turns out it didn't even get me a seat at the table. It began with a text from my mom 2 weeks ago. Family dinner on the 15th, dress sharp, winking emoji, no context, no reason for the gathering, no hint it wasn't just another casual night of takeout and Netflix, like usual. I assumed it could be a birthday or a small family catch-up, but after years of being barely included, I was just glad to be invited at all. I replied with a quick, "Sounds good, I'll be there," and marked it on my calendar without overthinking. The night before, I texted to ask if I should bring anything. No response. The next morning, I followed up, confirming time and place. Still nothing. Around 2 p.m., my sister Emma texted, "Chill, just show up at 7, dress nice." So I did. I put on a suit jacket, pressed slacks, shaved clean, more effort than I'd put into a family event since my cousin's wedding 4 years ago. I arrived 15 minutes early at this upscale downtown restaurant, all soft lighting, tiny water glasses, and waitstaff who murmur like they're sharing secrets. I gave the host the reservation name, Green Party of 6, and they guided me to a large, elegant round table set for 6. For a moment, I let myself hope. Maybe this time would be different. Then the host's face shifted. "Apologies, there's been a change," she said. She led me across the room to a cramped corner by the kitchen doors. There sat a tiny 2-person table with a laminated bar menu clipped to it. I blinked. This must be a mistake. I'm with the Green Party, 6 people. She tilted her head. That's what I was told, sir. Your family's at the main table. She nodded toward the round table, where I now saw my mom, dad, Emma, my older brother Scott, and his wife, already laughing and sipping cocktails. I froze. My gut told me this was no error, but I still hoped it was. Then Emma glanced over, smirked, and called out, "Oh, hey, Ryan. We thought you'd prefer something low-key, so we got you the bar menu." Scott leaned back, arm draped over his wife's chair. "Yeah, didn't think you'd vibe with the fancy stuff." My mom sipped her wine and said nothing. My stomach churned. I looked at my dad, waiting for someone to laugh it off, to call it a mix-up. He didn't meet my eyes. Instead, he turned to the waiter and said, "We'll start with the crab cakes and artisanal bread and keep the drinks flowing." I stood there, clutching my phone with the reservation confirmation email I'd sent weeks ago. I'd offered to help organize this dinner. I'd paid for half of Scott's wedding. I'd covered Emma's car insurance for a year when she was unemployed. I'd bought groceries, paid medical co-pays, and slipped my parents cash when their bills got tight. And now I was handed a laminated menu like some unwanted guest. I didn't sit. I didn't even approach the sad little table they'd assigned me. I stood there feeling a mix of humiliation and a sharp, clear realization. You know that moment when your brain clicks and you understand they meant this. That moment broke something in me. I turned to the waiter and said calmly, "I made the reservation. I'll handle the table's billing." His eyes widened slightly. "Of course, sir." I walked past the main table, ignoring Emma's raised brow and Scott's smug grin, and approached the host stand. "Can you update the billing for the green reservation?" I asked. "I'll be leaving soon, so I want to ensure everything's settled." The host hesitated. I showed her the confirmation email, my name clear as day, sent weeks before my parents even mentioned the dinner. That was enough. Then I walked outside, sat on a bench nearby, and waited. I checked my watch. 10 minutes passed, then 15. I pictured the appetizers arriving, glasses clinking, their laughter floating over the table. At 20 minutes, my phone lit up. "Dad, $1,900, what did you order?" I didn't reply. Not yet. For the first time in years, I wasn't rushing to clean up their mess. I wasn't their fallback. I wasn't their doormat. I just sat, letting the weight of their expensive night crash down on them without lifting a finger. My phone buzzed with furious texts. Dad, this isn't a joke. Fix this. You made the reservation. Make it right. Emma, what's wrong with you? You humiliated us. Scott, predictably, classic Ryan. Always the martyr. With a thumbs-up emoji. I should have been furious. I should have been pacing, maybe even doubting myself like I always did. But instead, I leaned back, let the night air cool my face, and breathed. Steady. Free. That dinner wasn't the start of their cruelty. It was just the first time they'd done it so openly. Growing up, I was the easy target. Emma was the star, charming and adored. Scott, the golden firstborn, got a free ride to college and could do no wrong, no matter how many jobs he ditched or how arrogant he acted. Me? I was the one who needed to try harder, who picked the wrong major, who made people uncomfortable with my quiet demeanor. When I landed my marketing job, they called it fluffy. When I bought my car, they said it was decent for a first try. I paid off my loans before either sibling, and they still treated me like I was borrowing their oxygen. Yet I stayed close. I showed up for every holiday, sent gifts even when they forgot my birthday, paid for things I shouldn't have. Why? Because I thought if I kept showing up, they'd eventually see me as family, not just a relative, but theirs. That night in the restaurant, I realized I wasn't just on the outside looking in. I was the punchline, the safety net, the guy who always came through, no matter how little they offered in return. So I didn't go back inside. I let them eat. And as I sat on that bench, savoring the chaos I'd quietly unleashed, I decided I was done being their fallback. The next morning, I woke to 7 missed calls, 4 from Dad, 2 from Emma, 1 from Mom. That one surprised me. She rarely called. Her voicemail. Ryan, call me back. I know the dinner wasn't perfect, but you didn't need to make a scene. Your father's upset. We all are. The restaurant says you set the reservation and the bill's final. Why would you do this? We were giving you space. Giving me space. I laughed. I didn't call back. Instead, I spent the day making other arrangements. At my bank, my credit card portal, every auto payment I'd foolishly linked to them. Emma's insurance? Canceled. Scott's streaming services and gym membership I'd been quietly covering? Cut off. The family phone plan I still managed? Card removed. The big one, my parents' internet, security system, and supplemental health plan, all tied to my accounts because their credit was too weak years ago? Paused. Not destroyed, just unfunded. By evening, I had a spreadsheet. Nothing flashy, just a record of everything I'd paid for. Every burden I'd carried. I didn't send it to them. I waited. It didn't take long. The next morning, Dad texted in all caps, "Why is the Wi-Fi down? Did you mess with the account?" Mom followed. "Ryan, your father's losing it over the internet and cameras. Fix this." Emma, "Did you cancel my insurance? My cards declined. I got pulled over today." Scott, "You killed my Netflix and gym? What are you, a teenager?" I replied only to Scott. "Thought you didn't want the soft guy handling your life, just respecting your wishes." The silence after that was golden. By the end of the week, Dad called 8 times. His last voicemail was quieter. "Son, let's talk. I get that you're upset, but this isn't how family works." I almost laughed. Because I'd done it their way for years, swallowing the slights, letting the resentment fester, staying silent while they made jabs and choices that sidelined me. Now that I'd stopped, suddenly it was a problem. I wasn't angry, though. I was finished. That Sunday, I drove by the old family house, not to visit, just to see it. The porch light flickered, a fix I used to handle every few months. The lawn was overgrown, probably waiting for me to mow it like I did for years, thinking it mattered. I didn't stop. I kept driving. The best part? They had no idea what else I'd been quietly arranging. And when that landed, that $1,900 dinner would feel like a bargain. 3 days after the dinner, I got a knock at my apartment door at 8:47 a.m. I wasn't expecting anyone, just sipping coffee and debating whether to work or spiral into spreadsheets. Through the peephole, I saw my mom, dressed like she was headed to a board meeting, clutching a tote bag with "Dream, Believe, Achieve" printed on it. Her face was a mix of worry and judgment, the classic "I'm here because I must be" look. I opened the door slowly. "Hi," she said, like we hadn't just traded veiled accusations via voicemail. "Hi," I replied, neutral. She peered past me as if checking for chaos or some proof I was falling apart without them. I didn't invite her in. I thought we should talk. Face to face, I stayed in the doorway. "About?" she shifted. "This whole mess, the dinner, the payments, your father's really shaken." I nodded. "That must be tough." Her lips tightened. "Ryan, don't be like that. You know your father doesn't handle emotions well. He wanted the night to be special." "By sticking me in the corner with a bar menu?" I raised an eyebrow. "That was special?" She sighed, like she was about to deliver a lecture. "I think the issue is you always want to be the focus. You take things too personally. It was just dinner, Ryan. That I paid for. That I arranged. That I wasn't really invited to." "That's not fair," she snapped, then softened. "Can't we move on? Undo whatever you did with the accounts? Clean this up?" I pulled out my phone, opened my records folder, screenshots, spreadsheets, annotated transactions. I didn't shove it in her face, just held it where she could see the scope. I tracked it all. Every cent I've covered for 3 years. Emma's car, Scott's subscriptions, your home security, groceries, pet insurance for a cat I've never seen. $21,389. Her face went pale. "You're exaggerating." "I can print it." She didn't respond. "So tell me, Mom, when you and Dad laughed about sticking me at the bar table when Emma said I wouldn't want the real dinner, was that planned? Or just a fun little jab?" Her eyes dropped. "We've all said things we regret." "But you meant to exclude me." She didn't answer. We stood in silence. Finally, she said, "Your father wants you for dinner Sunday. A real one. We'll make your favorite, lasagna." I nodded slowly. "I'll consider it." She looked relieved, like I was caving. I wasn't, because what she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd already contacted the estate lawyer. The family home, partially in my name since I co-signed the refinance 5 years ago to secure a better rate. I'd started the process to remove my liability and ownership. Without my credit, the bank would reassess the loan. With their finances, they'd either sell or face a much higher payment, and they had no clue it was coming. I didn't go to Sunday dinner. Instead, I made lasagna at home, music playing, no snide remarks or sudden guilt trips. Just me, a glass of wine, and the peace of finally breaking free. The next morning, the estate lawyer, Mr. Callahan, a soft-spoken man in his 60s who seemed more like a librarian than an attorney, called to confirm the bank's notice had been delivered. "Your parents were home when the courier arrived," he said. "They'll likely reach out soon." He was right. At 9:17 a.m., Dad called. "What's this letter? You're pulling out of the refinance? Are you crazy? Do you know what this does to our mortgage?" Then another. "Callahan says we refinance without you or sell. You're bankrupting us." "Mom." "Ryan, honey, this can't be right. We talked about dinner. You said you'd think about it. Why do this?" Scott. "Over a dinner. You're such a drama queen. Fix it." Emma. "You've made your point. You've embarrassed us. We're all hurting. Happy now." I didn't reply. I didn't do this for attention or petty revenge. I did it because I'd accepted they'd never see me as equal, never respect me, never offer me a real place unless I built the table, paid for it, and served them myself, only to be handed a bar menu. That afternoon, Dad showed up at my apartment, pushing past me like he owned the place. "We need to talk." I stayed by the door. "We are," he paced. "You ambushed us. After all I've done for you. I laughed. Like what? Mocking me at dinner? Letting Emma and Scott treat me like a spare while I funded their lives? His jaw tightened. You always play the victim. No, I said calmly. I just stopped signing up for the part. He pointed at me. We're family. You don't abandon family when it's tough. You abandoned me emotionally years ago, I said. I just stopped running after you. He went quiet, like the words hit him hard. Then, softer. We're in trouble. If this goes through, we lose the house. I know. So you're just going to let it happen? I met his eyes. I'm stepping back. The consequences are what you all built. You're punishing us over a seat at dinner. I shook my head. I'm done because after years of giving, you showed me I was just useful, not valued, not respected, just convenient. He muttered, We didn't think you'd care. And there it was. The truth. I didn't say more. He stood there waiting for me to crack, to apologize, to fix it like always. I didn't. He left without another word. A week later, the house went up for sale. A sign appeared in their pristine yard, one I used to mow for free, thinking it meant something. They told relatives they were downsizing, but the family chat knew the truth. Emma posted a vague Instagram story about betrayal. Her car got a parking boot, uninsured. Scott started a GoFundMe about hard times, raising $80 from 2 colleagues and his old coach. Mom emailed me a link to an old photo album from a beach trip. I didn't open it. I didn't need memories to remind me what I'd lost. I needed to protect what I'd gained. 3 months later, the house sold. They moved to a small rental on the town's outskirts. Emma picked up extra shifts. Scott's gym membership lapsed. He jogged in parks, complaining online. Mom and Dad stopped calling. And me? I went to Italy. On a whim, I booked a ticket the night the house sale posted on Zillow. I sat in Florence, watching the sun paint the Arno River gold, sipping espresso, breathing deeply for the first time in years. No debts tied to others, no emotional chains, just freedom. One night, watching the city lights, I got a text from Mom's number. Hope you're okay. We're struggling. Dad's not himself. We miss you. I stared at it. Then I typed one word, goodbye. I blocked her, not out of anger, not spite, but because I knew if I left any opening, they'd slip back in with guilt, shame, half-hearted apologies, and full-on expectations. I was done. They showed me what family shouldn't be, and I learned to build my own, brick by brick, boundary by boundary, one that starts with me and ends with peace.